Hello, I'm Eduardo Gil, and I am going to talk about a new feature that we are working on um, with the uh, new game changer that we have in this iDempiere era, that is REST API, using the philosophy of the in-app model to create and import and generate content and use it as a business model for iDempiere plugin development. So, what does this mean? Okay, this means is to orient plugin development to have more content to enable or perform its functionality. We have been in all yesterday and today hearing about all the improvement that we can do to perform UI, to perform functionality, to perform many things that we can do. Some things we can already do in the platform. Some things we modified with a plugin. But the reality is that we have an opportunity to use all the import mechanisms in the tenant for massively installed information. So, what is in-app? If you not ever hear about in-app model, in-app purchase model enables free application, mainly free games, to monetize their content and generate revenue. For example, if you download a Minecraft, maybe it could be free, but you buy the sword, you buy the shield, you buy another things. So the in-app model is a big concept. It's not only about to buy things. For example, we are using already in iDempiere in a dashboard that Carlos and all the team or marketing team are using to show that we have the conference or show that we donate. That is included in the in-app model because we are embedding some content to provide to try to get to the customer to do something. Okay, that's the idea. So, what are the challenges? Why I am working on this? Why I'm doing this? First of all, we have the problem of definition of done. Everybody that here, I'm sure they work with agile methodology like Scrum. They have a definition of done, the DOD, that definition of done is maybe in some regions are harder than in others regions, but in the region I am, that is Latin America, during the consultant delivery review, the customer and consultant holds different view on the complete fulfillment of the specific requirements. So, we divide our team in a consultant team, in a developer team, and the customer say, for example, I would like to, I want a manufacturing plugin. But when we configure manufacturing plugin, he say, no, this is not what I want about manufacturing plugin. What I was looking for is that the exploding thing, or the implosion, or that you recursively do that thing, that stuff, and that you show this, that you show a dashboard, or you show a chart with the information that I need. So the result here is important. So in this case, when we are in this situation, so there are differences between what the consultants take in the requirement or understood in the requirement and what the customer is going to have as a solution. So formal documentation and delivery of the functionality becomes more challenging and time-consuming for the consultant. What is we work in our customer, mostly of our customer are government customers. So the formally or the formalization of the delivery is a requirement. So I cannot give there are public customer and private customer. A private customer needs its functionality. He can check it, you can go to a meet, show the functionality, show the results, and you deliver the functionality. In the government, you cannot do that. You have to make some documents that the law establishes that you have to deliver with the functionality. So in the formal documentation becomes a problem, and the development team efforts are largely directed towards system configuration with less emphasis placed on the visualization or presentation results. Have you ever, and I'm going to mention manufacturing plugin, because have you ever configured manufacturing plugin? All the things that you have to do to put it in configuration, and when you configure everything and works perfectly and it's really beautiful, and you have many things that you even not imagine that it have, but when you want to show the results, so you get a problem. There is a problem there because there are already in the world with the globalization, there are already methods like standards that you have to show that we can already configure by one way and put it in, for example, in this plugin to deliver it all the time that we implement like plugin like this, like manufacturing. So, with saying all these things, I get a problem that I named the three-island problem. Why the three-island? Because I have an island of the consultant. Our consultant team they're responsible to truly understand and effectively resolve the customer business requirement. So they test and Q&A, migrate to production, upgrade documentation, formally delivery. Why we have to do this in iDempiere implementation? And maybe some have to do it, maybe others don't have to do it. But we know that we have iDempiere is, for me, for example, is a great the greatness. All the functionality you have is really impressive. But we conduct many of our implementation in the personalization, in the customization of the customer. But sometimes that customization gives us more work, and all the information that we have to prepare to deliver the functionality becomes a lot and more hours and more time. And sometimes, maybe, not all the time, but sometimes you cannot define the real time that you need to provide a functionality. So, the developer team is the other island. The developer team have the technical responsibility to define what are going to be the elements in iDempiere to deliver a functionality. How we define these elements? What are the elements we can take to give a functionality in iDempiere? Windows, process, forms, reports, and info windows, and many things. Or we can take REST API and put another solution integrated, but there are structural elements that the development and the technical team have to configure and give the solution. So, in the same time, when you get the plugin, or you stay, or you make the design, because we have here a really advantage about other solution, that because of we have an application dictionary, we have specific elements when we can take or unify to provide a design that can be accepted by a customer, for example, or can be accepted like for a product owner or a consultant, to say that yes, this is what we need, this is what we're going to deliver. So, but the technical also have to configure that. For example, Colombian localization. Colombian localization is great, have detail names, have withholding, but in withholding, when we are going in some countries, for example, I work in Panama, Venezuela, Chile. In Venezuela, it have almost 20 rules that we have to make, and combination and configuration and new kind of document types, but all are content in the tenant. Everything is content in the tenant. So, but we have to know how it works to put it work. Okay? And finally, they have to make a representation layer. That layer is the reference chart. So all this functionality, all this, you have to present it to the customer in some way. And many times they need a more specific report or more common reports, because the globalization of the information also give us a challenge with the customer, that they saw, I saw that there is a new standard about that, I want that. They don't know how to get that, but they want that. So finally, the final island is essentially the customer. They are looking for software to create their business framework, rather than having a business framework to inform the software. I don't know if that happened in your region, but in our region, the customer wants, but in the moment, in the process of implementation, they really don't have a process made it. So we normally have to make first a consulting before go to deliver some functionality. So, what are the principles of what we going here? And now, first of all, I think, or La Casa del Software, we are working on in a standard of creating content. For example, something that simple as year to date, in the iDempiere standard, you can have it. It becomes as a chart in the sales representant dashboard. But that information use sales order. But in all the countries that use invoice information, they want the invoice information instead of the sales order information. So the invoice is more important. So divide this chart with sales rep and divide that. So we have a base, but we need to a standard, like we have a year today, based on invoice. So iDempiere allows us to design plugin development structure, so we can develop and let's fill more data. When we are doing our work, we are trying to establish, to create templates that we can fill with data and less fields. So it's easier for us, for example, instead of put URL as a field and put a data into the URL field, we create a subtable like configuration detail, the field name, field value, field name URL, field value done. So that makes us to configure faster if we have predefined data to configure. So pre-configure data with focus on the technical or intuitive configuration from end, but get more focus on the end user functionality. In Casa del Software, we were seeing that we take too much time in technical configuration or doing or developing technical approach, and when finally we have to see the user front end, is not too intuitive, or is really complicated, or we have a base, a super base, and that is not what we want right now. And use iDempiere import mechanism integration, high quality pre-test configuration, plug and play solution. So what we want, what are we going to do until from the moment we start using our content management plugin? We just want that the user go to a store, go to an app, go to everywhere you want, and even go to a catalog that you make and you don't have even in a web store, and buy content, or you put the content. The content is different than the plugin. And I want to make a statement right now about the plugin. We share the source code, but this is like to when you sell consultant time to configure something, it's easier to buy it's easier to sell 1 hour 50 times that sells 50 hours 1 time. Okay? So maybe not. What are we trying to put in context is that we have the opportunity with all the iDempiere mechanisms right now to put that kind of hours in a package or a configuration rules that we just give a button to install it, and they put it in the customer tenant. So, okay, what is this plugin content management? It's an iDempiere plugin that allows you to predefine a set of rules for automatically installing configuration needed by other plugins or core platform using all the import mechanisms of iDempiere. So you can have, for example, an app. Yeah, I have an app for posts or for Salesforce, and in the corner we have a store. In the store they can buy a chart, and even we have a web store that I'm going right now. It's not in production. I just activated for this purpose, but I think that in a month maybe it's going to be in production. But with this concept is it's so simple that a customer buys something and he goes to his installation, puts a user and a password, and download the content. And that content go install and just use that content. And we can do that with all configuration, because import, and I'm going to show some technical things later. So I'm going to show right now an example of what I'm talking about. What am I talking about? I am talking about this. For example, I have this tenant of iDempiere. This is a complete new tenant in Garden World, as you know. Okay, you can see it's a standard, has nothing. What we want that some people go to our store, okay, say I want to buy this, I want to buy this, and go to the cart, and the purchase, I'm going to put this coupon CDSCN, and aquí, la casa del software, applicate, and purchase. With this purchase, this enables in a middleware server a content that I pre-configure that add no more than import sentence about for doing this. So I go to my tenant here. I'll go to my plugin. I'm going to put it in English. Sorry. Yeah, English. Sorry. So I'm going to go to content management, download content available, y le doy OK. And give it OK. She said, you buy two things. So I go to the content available and I can see what I just buy. Okay? So I buy this. Yes, you buy this. Okay. Let's install this content. I install this content and just install it and go to log out and go in and okay. And we should see it here. Okay. We should see it here. Let's try it again. Let me check if it is something about permission or something. Create identifier. Let's do it again. Install content. Message not found. Just wait a minute. Let me stop the tenant and put it again. I'm sorry. I'm starting the tenant again. So well, you know, in this moment, I buy something. That buy is connect to our central content management, and this central content manager have a lot of templates that say how it's going to work. After that, when I connect in this tenant, that is the customer tenant, I just have the information of what we buy. So at the moment we did it. Okay. Okay. So here it is. I didn't do anything else, so I can see my report I just installed. And what happened what happened in this moment? Happened all of these things. If I go to import template, yeah, I can see import. If I go to import template, I have an import template that becomes this is a template to import templates. Okay, so this is a template using the same format of the import template. So there is a template that says these things. It says that I have to install in this case a dashboard a chart content and a dashboard content. So it connects to our server when I have the file, a CSV file or an Excel file, because we now can import Excel, and he goes to this place, chart, go to chart and install this chart with all the senses I need for this chart. So after that, it goes to dashboard content, and goes here and also install the dashboard content. So you know that when we log out and log in, the dashboard content go to the preference if you don't have a filter, if you have access. So if you are a user, because in the import template you have to put the access. So this plugin is putting to this content to the access of all of this. Using import templates allow us to use a multi-tenant. That's why I don't use packing, because packing take the UUID when it's from tenant, and when you want to put in another tenant, it throws an error. So, but in what import template, you can import, so you can make all the configuration, and you have another things in import template, that if you go to import template and you put it in a header table, you can put the fields of the detail tables, okay? So you put all the fields like the way you export it from the window, and it is installing automatically. That's why I want to use this content management, so we can control what we are going to do. And so what is happening? And so we are going to show what is really happening in the background. In the background, I have a configuration of my content management. Okay, let me log out and log in English. Sorry. Okay, it's happening this. It's happening this. In content management, I have a content management template. But what do I use? I use product as the direction of what we are using. I just can create for one product several rules. So in this content management, okay, I have several lines that I say. For example, I say, you have to, if I order by sequence, I say to this, first of all, you have to import the import templates. After that, you have to import chart. After that, you have to import dashboard. As simple as that. And in the name, I put what I attach here. What I attach here. If I see the attachment are all the files that I say. Here we don't have limits. We can improve all the configuration that we have. For example, there is a standard for call centers that we can configure to use requests to give a functionality and put like plug and play a call center. So there is a standard with that, with some kind of request types that have study states. So you can pre-configure, export it in some place and say, this configuration, I'm going to sell it in $1. So you put it to your customer, you put it there, you taste it, but the important thing is that if you taste it, you can, as we are doing, we are trying to, I'm going to mention Murilo at this moment. We have the same problem with the developers, with the attention of the developers. So when we gave to them the real path of what they are going to do, and we conducted into a philosophy of development products instead of making consulting, because are two things. It's not the same, make projects or make products. So the developer can be more interested if they are in focus their attention in the development of products. So they can see what are the goals of their work. So in this plugin, we are going to have our team dedicated to establish content. An example, I am doing a content for a request. I put the request window with only tabs, using the group that that you can say that the group now is tabs, so it's less feel, more beautiful, and this is a content that we can do in all over the system of iDempiere. So this system, when you create a template, and the template is managed by a product. Why managed by a product? Because if you are going to integrate a web store, you are not going to integrate this. You are going to integrate the catalog of the system, all the information of products, and the web store or the app mobile or whatever you want to integrate is going to return an order or return an information that shows you that there is a sale. In that moment, when I sell that information, I create a copy of that content that says that I am based in this template, I am based in this template with this rule at this moment for these people. So this content management is also for the customer and for the server. Okay? And after that, after that bot, the customer only have access of what you give access for. And this moment is using REST API and doing this. So you have iDempiere at this moment allow us to take to use all these functionalities and finally have all the content we want to do and show it even with graphically. Well, so to finalize this, what are we identify as benefits? Obviously, the customer reduce the user feeling of high dependency, because it's not the same if some customers go to a store and whatever he wants to buy, he knows what he's going to buy. But here we know that the user scope is that I can use this chart, but I can improve some new configuration or above this chart, because the content when you install it is not restricted. Okay, it's just restricted for when you make your configuration of how you buy, of how you are going to allow. Because when I process, I put it as process in the first request that is about that. In every business of you have the ability of do whatever you want. Increase engage with the solution. One of our problems I face is that because of the complexity of iDempiere, after the customer buy and the learn curve is so high, it's difficult to engage with the solution, and it's a low process. After it happens, it gets well. But the team improve communication, have the same definition of done. The process it's not the same to make a standard. For example, I have financial reasons. I don't know if you acidity test or inventory levels. Are many I already developed, and it's not the same working with a standard and document that standard and put that documentation as an attach in a web store like this, that always improve and make new documentation. That's more work. Smoother, faster, and less risky component migration. Is for our business, high standard, less abstraction, fast productivity, and more. Well, I'm Eduardo Gil, free software from 2001, iDempiere since 2012, sellers, developer, consultant, in love with iDempiere and Casa del Sondor founder, and multi-tenant as iDempiere. Thank you very much. Well, if you have some questions.
Any questions?
I can ask.
Yes.
What if, okay, I buy something, but the question is if the version is changed or updated on the vendor side, it can be how download it again or align it.
Okay. In our case, we are selling, or we are preparing content, and we have that are two words. There is one word when you put a content and you buy that content and that's it. But if you buy, for example, a service monthly, and you have a service agreement with the customer that include that updates. So this right now this plugin takes what if I go to download again, he's going to find the new information, put it, and he can install it again. So right now at this moment I have to taste. For example, I have some challenge. I put a P2 server with Jenkins to provide automatically installation of plugins, because for example, for do this, I have a base plugin that put all the SQL fields as test long because are too short. For example, in the chart, the value field is too short, so I have to put it long, and I have some changes like that. So I need to put as like the dependencies. So when you put install, they check, hey, you don't have this plugin, you don't, but all the plugins have to be or in attach or publish. Okay?
What is the business model? How can I make money? Yeah.
Selling content with a website. You put it and you sell it. You know that I'm already doing this, but without the web store. I start to create pre-content, and some people test, put it better, test. So to be more plug and play. So in the moment I'm going to make a quotation, for example, I tabulate what is the amount of money of that thing. So maybe it's $100, $50, $100, $1,000, whatever I want. I just put it in my price list. So in that case, after that, so I can even give a quotation faster, because it's not the same. Like I say, it's not the same to all the time try to measure what is the amount of hour we need to make a consulting, that put it in the package and say that the cost of that is $1. So if $1 plus the configuration that you know is not going to be, and you can say, well, maybe 4 hours of improvement that you want, and that's all. So you can define better. Thomas.
What is the format of the files that you transfer, and how do you prepare them?
What is the form of?
The format of the files.
Of the file. Ah, okay. Okay. How I prepare it? Well, it's really easy. Really easy. First of all, we use the same iDempiere. So, for example, I wanted to export this. I just export this. Export it as what? As CSV. So I export this, and this template I put it on test. Okay, I'm going to put the test. I export the template, put it in test. For example, I'm going to give you a tip. All the tables that mention other table brings other table name, and other table name sometimes repeat its name. So for example, if I export a table that says a table is invoice, if you don't test, they are going to tell you invoice is repeated more than once, so I cannot import. But if you change the field and put a table name, you assurance that you have no mistake, because the table name is a unique field in the other table. So those things, that whereas I'm telling that this functionality becomes with a work of conduct the development of making products instead of giving more consulting. So if imagine that we all try to you make the configuration of the new window, sales order window, and put it all into a fields in a tabs. The other one that, so every time you were creating this content, so it is easier to deliver to the customer that functionality. I don't know if there is another question.
Is this similar? I'm not developer. It's similar like Tupac from this perspective, like technically, but it's centralized for as business model.
It's like PIC.
Tupac. Tupac.
Ah, like Tupac.
Like Latino Tupac.
Yes, it's similar. Like it's like I'm doing like a Tupac, but I inclusive not use a Tupac because Tupac have a limitation with tenant. If you export information from one tenant and try to put in another tenant, right now no, it not work for me. But well, in that moment what happened, but at this moment I use import template because of the multi-tenant and because right now, for example, I'm testing the Excel export. It's easier to manage an Excel import because of the format, and the tool makes you administrate or manipulate the easier way. But it's doing something like a Tupac. So, but what happened with Tupac? You in Tupac you say application or model, okay? In that Tupac you cannot say application or model in tenant. Application or model is for system configuration. So if you make that Tupac, but that let's think that that Tupac needs a plugin that is part of our work. That this plugin is going to do telnet. I'm going to put some rules to say what is happening about the plugins they need, and if you allow it, and so you can install it. If you have obviously the permission of that, of course. So there are many improvements that we can do to not only manage the data, so also manage tasks that we already have processed in iDempiere, inside iDempiere to do it, because we have tasks in iDempiere. So those things is what we are having. We are thinking about.
I don't know if I can, if I understood correctly.
Yeah.
So I will try to summarize what I understood.
Okay.
You are trying to make a model to sell like microtransactions of your knowledge and the configuration time that takes to
Too long.
yeah.
Yeah. That's all.
Because to configure that dashboard takes time and understanding. You need to study, and you sell that like, okay, you have it.
You have it, and you have it, but you have it installing the chart, installing the dashboard, and just doing in a button that install content.
Okay.
So, okay, the boss is going to say something.
Hi.
The business stuff.
It happens to us, I mean, in our case, because as Eduardo says, we are another region, so every client's mind works different. But in our case, we have like 2 clients that we are testing with this model, even if the web store is not online. And ironically, it became easier to sell more hours because it shorts the gap of understanding from the clients. So they start to flavor the solution, how it's gonna to look like, to feel like. So it's not about less hours, it's about better hours, more conscious. So it has like a 360 effect. I mean, the developers like their mind birth, it's less. The consultant doesn't have smoother, and the psychological effect, because yes, there is a psychological effect, especially when you have a complex project, or in our case, and when we work with government, in Latin America, that's an extreme sport. So it's really wild, because, oh, that person quit, or something really quick happens. So you have to shorten the risk. So this tool helps us, to say, oh, this is going to happen, because developing personalization is like a faith jump sometimes. Even if you can sell it, or you are so graphic, or you can deliver a great demo for the client, there is a spot that they can't see. They have to abstract a little. So this tool also helped us to justify hours, and miraculously, it becomes in more hours. So that's the service that we offer. So it becomes profitable for us, and it's joyful for them just to see that they can do something. Oh, it is not that complex. No, it is complex, but it looks less complex when it happens in that way. Well, thank you. That's what I want to say. My colleague Francis.
I like the idea, and why not to extend to plugin, because it's like a centralized market of what you do. We also work in the same, we follow best practice, and we try to make everything to standard. Like an example, first customer ask for extend open items with extra information.
Yeah.
And we say, oh, this is good for all, but you are not, you can't install to all customers. So you can create as an extension, content, plugin, whatever, and then the customer can buy it.
Self-service.
And so you can buy content, extra, and you can do with, I think, Tupac is a little more extent, because you can't import plugin. Is that correct?
And at this moment, at national level,
But I think it's more
but
important the idea.
we are going to.
How to do? I think you can change it.
But I can answer that, Carlo.
And also one more question is, we are trying to not to sell just services like product, but like Norbert said before, with maintenance, because you sell this and you just need end of
Extra
maintenance,
hours.
so you are able to update until next year, until 3 next year, and so on.
Of
This is
course.
good improvement.
Yeah.
I like it.
New
Okay.
versions of that, yeah.
Carlo.
I want to make some extended explanation about Tupac,
Okay.
not Deepak.
No Deepak. Tupac.
I just want to ask Tupac and Deepak are brothers.
Yeah.
But because maybe you don't know, because it has been things that have been added recently, but Tupac is very powerful, and the restriction that you mentioned is solved.
It's all okay.
You can import from one tenant to many tenants,
Okay.
and Tupac recognizes that situation and creates a new UUID and creates a conversion in a table. It says the original UUID was this, and it was converted to this in every tenant.
Yeah.
That's Tupac. And recently we added Tupac the possibility, you can run SQL since always, but now your Tupac can run also Bean Shell and Groovy.
Ah,
and
Bean
that's
Shell.
it.
Okay.
So you can run processes.
Scripts.
Scripts. And also it can run shell scripts in the server.
Shell scripts.
We added that recently. So Tupac is very powerful. It can do I think if you can run shell script, you can also install a plugin.
Yeah, and that I'm going to ask and determine that comment because as business model, for example, if I'm going to use Pakin, okay, I can just insert a register of Pakin and attach the information and run the process. And Tupac is more strong than this kind of input. So that's one thing. But
Yeah, another thing is that Tupac is pluggable. You can create new data types or element types of Tupac. And you write a Java class that manage this type and do whatever you want. So you can extend it.
Yeah. There is for this. I want to say some things for this concept, and let's see it as a concept. We are in the new times. We are with young people that believe, that knows, and maybe don't want to really investigate some things, and they want everything faster. And the competition is as this. The competition is plug and play. Sometimes you even not have to install some things, or when that install a functionality, the content is included in this installation, so it's more fast. The purpose of improve this kind of things, of this content management, that I'm going to test it for the new versions, okay, is that we can deliver faster, and we can give to the customer the possibility of be by their own. And that sensation is not a thing that we can do with plugins. When we publish a plugin, the customer normally needs a consultant of iDempiere to install the plugin, because they don't know, at least in a rare, at least. More than they need a consultant, they depend on the developer, and sometimes the developer needs to say, I need more hours, because I need to study this plugin to put it in work. So thinking about all of this is what we are doing this. So right now I was using import templates because it's easier in terms of preparation, but if the two packs are now that possibility, for example, that the shell possibility, it can have that instruction that install the dependencies, and it should be the first step. So we should improve in that way, and that is going to change. It's going to change in the same velocity that iDempiere change. We are going to change this. So that's the spirit.
Hearing several opinions, why no a central marketplace where you can have free and paid solutions?
That's really great what you say. Okay, this concept allows us to, if we want, to centralize a marketplace in iDempiere, just for the concept. That and why. And I am going to put a logic of content management about a process that unload, a process that you create a template. The template is the very heart of this, because in the template, if you are a consultant that you want to prepare something, you do it in the template, and you can provide maybe if I am a content provider, and maybe iDempiere have a public, or some of us have access to that content. Maybe Deepak put content of Deepak. So it's a tested marketplace with the content of Deepak. and connect with the philosophy, with the template of Deepak. But also, I can provide, the template allows us to provide content and use content. Okay? Because if the content template don't have a product related, or is a product that is not related in my catalog or in my template, it's not going to do nothing. It's going to think this content belongs to everyone else and brings the instruction to install it from that marketplace. And it's going to connect to Deepak template and install it. So I can be provider and I can be the user.
Deepak, you can try install Tupac.
We want to change the Tupac for Deepak. The new Deepak. Thank you very much.